Hello, Lucas Catton here. And one of the things that I wanted to do in some of these videos and upcoming videos is talk about some books that I've been reading and just to share some of the things that I've gotten from them and maybe things that you would like to read or check up on or that you might get from it as well. And some of it I do talk about at times, like I talked about, like, let's say the Blue Ocean Strategy, for example. And some of the videos that I also do and also some of the topics on the Support for Guys podcast do either come from things that I've recently read or were ideas that I've had that have been somehow validated in some other sources or resources or been the result of experiences that I've also been able to study or research more on. And one of the books that I recently read it was called The Code of the Extraordinary Mind by Vishen Lakhiani. He's the co-founder of Mindvalley. And that's kind of like a learning platform that really helps to seek betterment of people spiritually, financially, um, socially, culturally, etc. It's really about just really to helping improve our global culture as a whole and to enhance the experience of life of everyone involved. So what kind of stuck out about this book for me personally is that so far I haven't read too many books, if any at all, that have encompassed more of how I view life as this book has for me. And what I mean by that is that it's broken down into different sections. I think there's 10 unconventional rules about kind of like living your best life, basically. And some of it uses some terminology that's kind of trendy, biohacking and things like that. But he also makes up some terms that I think make some good points. One of them is he made up a word called brules that he calls it. It says question the brules, and the brules are what he refers to as bullshit rules, things that are made up by other people that we somehow just accept and apply and believe that we have to follow on our own, and sort of a system, for example, of how to question those and do they make sense and do they enhance or do they take away or do they limit people or is it for the good of people? Does it make sense? What's the purpose of them? And that was kind of a cool thing because I've that's something that I've always tried to do is that many times I've looked at it and I've seen myself as sort of like an exception to a lot of different rules or a lot of different things. And it's not that I somehow was should have been forgiven of responsibility or those don't apply to me or that kind of thing, but just had a natural questioning of, well, why am I having to accept this as being fact or true or the way things always are or that kind of thing, and really going beyond that and going, well, where did this come from and what's its purpose, and does it, maybe it's something that we need to chuck out the window and develop a new rule for ourselves or for our families or for our workers, co-workers, et cetera, and not just accept that this is the way things are and that this is the way things will be. One of them, for example, I'll talk about, or I recently talking about, like, let's say the two-party political system and how, well, that's just the way it's been. So therefore, we always accept that's how it's going to be. And I think that's something that can go out the window, and hopefully in the near future that there's more room for growth there. But also, they come from a lot of times, let's say, religion and how we must accept how we view people or circumstances or situations because that's how we're told that we have to, and it starts as a very early age from being very young, and the indoctrination of different points can come at times from either childhood through our families. Vishen, for example, talks about why he couldn't eat beef and growing up, and he was like, I think I want a hamburger, and he went and had a hamburger. He's like, this is pretty cool. I enjoy hamburger. I see people eating hamburgers. I like it. And not to offend anybody who might be, vegan or vegetarian, but that was an example that he gave, that he had been told that he couldn't do that. He didn't know why, and he questioned it, and he did it, and for him personally, that was okay. And there's lots of other different examples of, maybe believing that someone is going to hell, for example, because they have a different view of something that you have, or believe, or that they love someone of the same sex, or whatever. There's so many different things that we just accept, or people have accepted as being true, when, especially in today's day and age, so much of it doesn't apply to today. Texts, for example, that were written thousands of years ago may have been first of all, distorted along the time, but second of all, they could have been applicable only to a particular time period, to a particular culture. Not to be blasphemous toward anybody else's religion. I'm not saying that either. But the point is to question, when we're given rules of life, finding out where they come from. What's the purpose? When were they instilled in, and is that thing still valid today? So rules was a big thing for me that I saw. But another thing, actually, I just recently talked about, can you be happy now and in the future at the same time, or have future goals at the same time? And there's a section in the book that he talks about. He calls it bending reality, and that's sort of that, as far as having gratitude for what is now, and also being able to set and work toward larger goals. And his recommendation is to look for, like, let's say, a 3-year goal, and talks about that most people overestimate what they can do in a year, but underestimate what they can do in 5 years. And so he walked it back to, let's say, a 3-year period, and to have big goals and work toward them, and be excited along the process and along the journey of working toward those goals, but also be extremely grateful for all that we have and do and experience and love today. That's another wonderful section. And I'm going to take a look at a couple of these, but another thing he talks about is early on is transcending the culture scape. What he talks about that is sort of along the rules kind of thing, is that there's so much of what we do, and even the purpose for the Support for Guys podcast, the culture scape of telling guys this is how we're supposed to be, and this is how we're supposed to act, and these are the things that we're supposed to do in order to be considered a man, and how sometimes they may not apply, and sometimes they could actually be harmful, and that kind of thing, and so these are the situations that we're given, and it's okay to question them. It's okay to look deeper within and see what feels right. See what honestly feels right for ourselves, for our loved ones, and for the world around us. There's other things about creating your future and looking for ways to be more resilient. He uses different terminology for that, and you can check out that for yourself. But also to help find what is it that makes you tick. Why do you feel that you're here? What quest or goal, ultimate goal in life? What is your purpose? There's lots of different language that can go around talking about that, but why are each of us here, and what do we want to do? And that may not always be the same thing. It can be from time period to time period. We have different quests or different goals or different things that are purposeful and fulfilling to do. That work doesn't feel like work, or that we're able to work to meet our needs and our financial needs, kind of thing, for ourselves and our families. But we also have things that we volunteer with, or things that we do on the side, or hobbies that are fulfilling. And one of the last things that he talks about in the book is sort of a series of things that he does in a meditation. He calls it a 6-phase meditation, and I think that's pretty cool, because when I think of meditation as a whole, I think that there are so many different ways that someone can be mindful of, becoming more aware, especially without judgment. But beyond that there's different types of meditation, from walking meditation to lying down meditation to visualization to simply just focusing on your breath, to so many different ways that someone can meditate. And this particular 6-phase meditation that he kind of combined and felt worked best for himself, that he wanted to share, was pretty cool, because it takes into account some of the things throughout the book. And as I look at some of the things that I do, for example, including the gratitude, another one was, I'll jump back a second ago, but practicing forgiveness, and being able to truly open up a lot of stored negativity and stored negative energy that we're carrying along with us in regards to other people, that if we can let that go, then it helps us be much happier. It helps us attract much more positive things in our lives as well. So back to the 6 phase meditation. I don't remember exactly what all is in it, like word for word, of course, but and also, taking a look at visualizing what some goals are, for maybe for the day, maybe for an ideal day, what we're going to have today, and in general, starting off the day with something that is putting us in the right mindset. Not only mentally, but also really the right heart set as well. And combining all these things that he's kind of put into this book has been really cool because, as I mentioned in the beginning, it has touched on more that I feel like I have agreed with or feel that applies to me and how I view the world as a whole today, that has built up over time and where I am now. I think it's a wonderful book. I think that it's worth checking out. I think if you go to Mindvalley, I think it's mindvalley.com. And there's also, if you go to YouTube, there's Mindvalley Talks and things like that, where they have different people that help share things as well, that might be applicable to your life, that can be beneficial. So this isn't a plug for them because for any other reason other than I felt I've gotten some value out of it. And aside for the cost of the book itself, everything has been free for me, but there's also paid courses and things like that they go for in a much deeper level in some of these different topics and areas, and can show people how to do those things. But I think it's worthwhile. I think that we are worth investing in ourselves to some degree. It doesn't have to be dollar value. It can be the time that you invest in yourself in deeper prayer, for example, if praying is part of your daily routine, and what we pray about and who we pray for and how we pray. From a meditation standpoint, what it is that we're looking for. From an energy standpoint, how we're freeing up stored negative energy and making it to where we're feeling better naturally on a daily basis. And there's so many things that go into that. And I think that for me, as I continue to read, I usually have about 4 or 5 books going at a particular time. Part of it's because I'm a slow reader and I bounce around. And also part of it because I look for things that are applicable at that time. Most of it's nonfiction. A lot of it is, about different types of spiritual growth or meditative or contemplative practices, a lot of philosophy type things, self-betterment, self-improvement, that kind of stuff, but also work-related things, things about careers and development and entrepreneurship and those sorts of things as well. But as I continue to go, that's one of the ways that I continue to try and better myself is to bring on more information, see what works, see what I agree with, see what seems to make sense for me. And then if it does, then maybe I can share it with other people and hope that they can also get, something else out of it as well. And, I'd also love to hear some feedback from you. Like, what are some of the books that you have recently read that have touched you in some way that you feel like others would also benefit? Please, if you'll leave comments to this video or send me a note and I can share it and I can add it to, let's say, lucascatton.com on the books page. There's lists of resources that I need to update, frankly. But some other books that I've recently read in the past few years that I really enjoyed. And I'd love to hear from you. And that's about it for now. Happy Friday if you're watching it on time. Otherwise, whenever it is that you see it, thanks for taking the time. And I hope that all is well. And I look forward to connecting more in the future. Thanks.